Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and in episode 5 of Daredevil Born Again, we learn through Yusef that Kamala is in La La Land. Well, she's not in La La Land, she's in California, hanging out with friends, and boy, is this a trail of breadcrumbs for us over here at New Rockstars. What is Kamala doing in Cali? Is she visiting New Rockstars again? Maybe, who knows? Let's go through the options and see where we last left off with our homegirl for this smoking gun, and see if she's with her BFF Bruno,
We don't talk about Bruno,
visiting Shang-Chi, or looking for Cassie Lang and beginning her Young Avenger team up. But first, be sure to check out nerdriot.shop, where you can always grab the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. Right now, we've got some designs inspired by Daredevil Born Again, like this Daredevil and Punisher face-off shirt. We also got merch inspired by Severance, the Lumen shirts. You love Lumen. Do we like Lumen? Maybe. We got some Fantastic Four merch. I'm wearing one right now. We got some Star Wars and a ton of other fandoms. You guys, there's a ton of merch options over there at nerdriot.shop. Go check it out. Also available now on Audible is the latest in the Hunger Games series, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Yellowstone's Jefferson White narrates, and I can't wait to hear him bring Hamish Abernathy's origin story to life. So Miss Marvel is in California visiting plural friends, more than one. So there's more than a handful of reasons she'd be in California to help build out this itinerary of hers. Let's look at the likely timeline that would intersect with her visit. At the end of Miss Marvel, Kamala's best friend, Bruno, decides to take the gifted and talented immersion program at Caltech. I suspect he was admitted for the summer to the following fall, which if Miss Marvel takes place in fall of 2025, would mean he would be attending Caltech in 2026. And remember that Miss Marvel takes place right before the Marvels. So when Kamala was busy in space, Bruno had already been admitted into California's Caltech. Though this spans 2025 to 2026, it hasn't even been a full year yet. Kamala is 16 years old in both her own show and in the Marvels. Now, it's likely 2027 according to the showrunners for Daredevil Born Again, and it seems as though the program at Caltech still has Bruno. However, the program was only a semester long. So why is Bruno still in California? I don't think his grandmother moved across the country with him because the program offered room and board. Even if he had graduated high school by now, there was still a time or a period where he finished the program and just stayed until he was admitted into Caltech. So there's some gray areas. Like most young geniuses in Marvel, I'm 100% sure someone picked him up as a mentor or intern. San Francisco is famously the headquarters for the Pim Van Dyne Foundation, which we know is super active, seeing as they're advertising in Times Square during New Year's and Daredevil Born Again. Following the blip, in case you don't remember, Hope Van Dyne retook control of Pim Technologies and restructured it as Pim Van Dyne Foundation, turning the company's focus towards mass manufacturing Pim particles for global change. And Bruno has demonstrated nothing less than generosity and compassion to everyone, even those he didn't like in Miss Marvel. So Bruno joining the Pim Van Dyne Foundation to further his studies but also make the world a better place is not really surprising. There's a group of young geniuses in Marvel Comics, and Unstoppable Voss, issue number 2, referred to as GIRL, G-I-R-L, standing for the Genius in Action Research Labs. It was dedicated to finding brilliant girls that can change the world. And this group in the comic highlighted women in STEM in the Marvel Universe, which was terrific, and I'd love to see this come into the MCU. But what I'm highlighting is that Wasp has already created programs for young geniuses in the comics, and it's not too far-fetched to see her building a program like this within Pim Van Dyne Foundation with ties to Caltech, both established in California. And you know who also wants to change the world? Cassie Lang. I think Kamala is visiting Bruno, but using the visit as a chance to also talk to Cassie Lang. At the end of the Marvels, we learn that Kamala has been trying to create her own team of young superheroes. With the help of Sabre's intelligence, she finds Kate Bishop and tells her about Ant-Man's daughter, Cassie Lang.
I do have feelers out though. Did you know Ant-Man had a daughter?
What do you want?
We've also heard rumors that Marvel's building a champion series with our favorite young superheroes, and since that mid-credit scene, it seems like Kamala will be leading the team and searching for other teammates. So she's taking the initiative to talk to Cassie Lang. We also have to just see her convince everyone, and this is establishing that bridge. As a reminder, Cassie is also extremely brilliant. She engineered the satellite in the basement to reach the quantum realm. She was working with Hank and Janet to learn more about the quantum realm. So her potential is literally limitless, and I expect to see her further studying at Pim Van Dyne Foundation. In the future, this way she doesn't have to limit herself to a basement with a box full of scraps.
A box of scraps!
The links between Bruno, Kamala, and Cassie are already being established. Big picture idea, I think Kamala is in California enlisting Cassie and visiting Bruno, hence the plural friends that Yusef noted. However, a lot of my theory has been made on the chance that Bruno no longer attends Caltech, because Caltech is out here near me, and I believe he's moved to San Francisco to intern for Wasp. However, if he's still in Pasadena, an argument could be made that he's found that treasure trove of temporal technology, or that semi-temp pad instructions in OB, aka AD Doug's old lab that we saw in Loki season 2. In 1994, in Pasadena, OB was AD Doug, a theoretical physics teacher at Caltech. Though he hated his job, he wanted to continue writing his science fiction. He had pieces in his lab to build a temp pad out of the tech in the 90s in 19 months. With the brilliant mind of Bruno seeing a bigger picture in OB's old belongings, we could see that lab being used again, this time just by Bruno. It's also important to flag that Roxxon Corporation was a significant presence presence in LA during Iron Man and has appeared in other Marvel projects thereafter. It was a client of Landman and Zack's in Daredevil. The giant company has been featured in Marvel comics, shows, and movies forever. If we want to add a layer of treacherous backing to Ms. Marvel's world, we can set Bruno up to be recruited by Rockstars, who undoubtedly would be an enemy to the Pim Van Dyne Foundation. I think Bruno and Kamala can build off a lot of the companies and adjacent storylines in the MCU. I also know there are a ton of people in the MCU in California that she could accidentally run into. A reminder that Karen Page is currently in San Francisco. If Karen even begins working for Pim Van Dyne Foundation, she could indirectly be linked to many other superheroes like Cassie Lang, aka Stature, who can introduce her to Kamala, whose father helped Matt. We have Shang-Chi and Katie living in San Francisco. That encounter will be a more challenging one to bridge because I don't think anyone knows that the 10 rings are actually linked to Shang-Chi's powers. Shang-Chi fighting on the bus and being recorded by Cleve are absolutely known. Everybody saw it online, but I don't think that his power of the 10 rings has been known to the public. I also believe Shang-Chi will be more connected with Wonder Man, seeing as Trevor Slattery will also appear in that show. Also, its EP is Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton, and they're also around the same age. I think Marvel has a lot of team-ups that definitely are coming down the pipeline. It's wild, but I think we can have one team-up in California featuring Shang-Chi, She-Hulk, Wonder Man, and Ant-Man, then the champion showing up, meeting whenever they're needed around the coastlines. Going back to the location regarding Kamala visiting California, Los Angeles is about 6 hours from San Francisco. So if my theories are correct and she's looking for Cassie or the Van Dyne Foundation, I don't think she's making her way south to LA. So she wouldn't really be visiting Wonder Man in the series. Though, never say never, because MCU could just make it look like it's a bus ride away. Which it is a bus ride away. I guess you could go to UCLA and catch the bus, the Greyhound, all the way to San Francisco, but I don't think Kamala wants to do all that. The same concern I have with her visiting Wonder Man also applies to She-Hulk, who's also in Hollywood. But if Kamala or Stature get in trouble, having She-Hulk represent her in California would be a great gag. Then she could find out that Kamala's dad recommended the lawyer who saved him in New York. There's only one super lawyer other than She-Hulk, and he's in New York, so it won't be hard for her to deduce that she's talking about Matt. Then we'll get that situationship reunion that I've been asking for. I also think it would be funny for everyone going forward in the MCU, especially in LA, especially in California, to acknowledge that Kevin Bacon was kidnapped from his home in December of 2025 by the Guardians of the Galaxy. When you really think about it, a lot has actually happened in California in the MCU. It always feels like it's New York. And I've noted the big players, the bigger heroes, but keep in mind that Jimmy Woo, who was an FBI agent in the California division, is here as well. After dealing with the incident in Westview, New Jersey, he's probably keeping close tabs on superheroes traveling from Jersey to California. He probably thinks that Kamala is another Westview hex. Kind of like Strange when he found out that Loki returned to New York in search of his father in Ragnarok. I think they're gonna keep tabs on these kind of superheroes. It was more of an alarm, but I think it'd be funny. We also saw Jimmy last in Quantumania eating lunch together with Ant-Man, so I assume he's back in California, back to his old self, his old ways, so he also ties in that bridging. With small Jimmy Woo, there's also Luke Jacobson, the designer who created She-Hulk and Matt's costume, and has gone forward as like the costume designer for the super community in the MCU. I am so sorry, Melvin Potter. I don't think he'll be creating a new look for Ms. Marvel, but more ties can be made for a visit in California. There are many places Kamala can visit in California. Though my heart is set on Cassie and Bruno, I think it's important to note Marvel's behind the scenes actions that are playing out as well. Nexus Point News has already rumored a new writer for the Champions, and this writer also wrote for Fresh Off the Boat, which starred Jimmy Woo's Randall Park. Shang-Chi's Destin Daniel Cretton, who works on Spider-Man 4, is also working on Wonder Man. I know the family is tight in the MCU, but 3 of the 4 of those projects occur in California. I think it's no surprise that Marvel is featuring more superheroes from all parts of the world, but for grounded superheroes, it looks like they're moving from the East Coast to the West Coast, just like Karen. I think this visit of Kamala's is expected to ripple across the future of the MCU, but especially for her future in this universe. Let me know who you think Kamala is visiting in California. Do you think we're getting a step closer to whatever the Young Avengers team up is gonna look like? Follow me at Lulu_Clemons, subscribe to all 3 channels of the new Rockstars Network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.